Hi, this is Haughey, and this is a quick video to show you how to get the surface prep for the upcoming Zoom class, Spring Bunny. There's a lot of great techniques in this class, and I can't wait to share them with you. So get your brushes out and let's get ready to get this surface prepped. Always take time to prep your surface well. I'm using multi-purpose sealer, excellent coverage, and it's going to ensure that the paint will adhere well, and it's going to provide a nice smooth surface to paint on as well. I'm using the 1.5" short wash, super soft bristles, large brush. It's going to cover that surface quickly, minimizing brush strokes, and because the bristles are so soft, there's hardly any bristle marks at all. Just a great way to apply any kind of sealer or base coat to a large surface. Give it a quick dry. Make sure that it's completely dry. I'm using a super soft grit sandpaper. I think it's like a 220. Make sure you brush off all that dust so that you don't leave any residue on there. Going to be putting on the first, actually we're going to be doing layers and layers of colors. The first layer is raw sienna. Love the oval wash. It's another brush that has super soft bristles. And I'm using the Jo Sonja Fast Dry Glaze Medium. Love to use glazing medium. Get a little bit frustrated because it takes so long for the paint to dry. And this will allow the paint to dry quickly, but it still allows more open time so that you can work with the paint, still achieve that beautiful result that you get from a glazing medium, but you don't have to wait nearly as long. It's not sticky like a regular glazing medium. Working it into my bristles, and then I just go into the puddle of glazing medium and then pick up some paint. I'm doing a slip slap, and I'm not using the chisel edge of my brush. I'm kind of laying it over on the side, back and slip slapping it back and forth. There are brush strokes that will be visible, but because I'm using that glazing medium, I can go back and forth over it quite a bit to mute it down. Now we're going to be putting layers of color over top of this to achieve that beautiful movement in the background. And because we're doing that, I want to make sure that my brush strokes are softly blended, but you can still see light and dark. I just think that gives such a fluid movement. This is Blue Mist. Loaded my brush again with the glaze medium. Absolutely looks beautiful with that undertone of raw sienna. I did slow this down a little bit so you could see more of how I'm using the flat of the brush, not the chisel edge. Lean it over, lean it back, slip slap. Make sure that you change the direction of the strokes, and you can go back over it. That's the asset of using that glazing medium. It does allow more open time. And I'm not putting the paint on heavy. You can see it's very thin, very washy, and I have plenty of time to go back. Now I'm picking up Spa Blue. This is going to add hints of brightness, and I love the effect that this achieves. It's almost like there's little bits of light peeking through, and that muted tone of maybe clouds in the distant sky. Not blending the colors so much that it becomes one color. You can still see light and dark. And I know this is really hard, and when I teach class, I think this is the hardest thing for us decorative painters to kind of grab hold of. We're not painting it solid, and we're not covering it completely. We are just adding a hint of color. And I'm going to change my motto to a little bit of paint makes a big difference, because that's absolutely what's happening here. Now I've just picked up just a touch of that lush green and blending it, and all these colors work together so well. Okay, we're back to, I did speed it up just a little bit so you wouldn't get bored. It's just a lot of repetition. Now, keep in mind, this is the first layer. And you can see, I know as a decorative painter that looks kind of messy. Give it a good dry. This quick dry glazing medium's going to allow that to dry quickly, but you still get those depth, that undertone that a glazing medium provides. When the second layer is applied, you can start to see how it's becoming a little more uh, pigmented, but yet it still has that soft movement. Continue to do that slip slap. Remember to use the flat of the brush, not the chisel edge. I do have a paper towel to the side. I never, during the whole time that I'm base coating the background, I never clean my brush out with water. I just have such thin fluid paint on my brush that the only time that I need to worry about having too much color is maybe if there's too much green when I'm going back up into the sky area. But if the brush is too wet or it has too much color, then I can wipe it off on the paper towel. Don't be afraid to pick up more raw sienna if it becomes too green. That raw sienna will tone that down beautifully. Just make sure you keep that very muted and very fluid. And if you look closely, you should still be able to see some of that background raw sienna just faintly visible through those slip slap strokes. And by using, and I keep calling it wrong, it's fast drying glaze medium. By using that, it keeps that paint very transparent and allows, look at that movement. That's just absolutely beautiful. Now, this is the second coat. But what do they say? Wait, there's more. Going to go back in, make sure that is very, very dry, and you can see how it's looking. But we want to build the color up just a little bit stronger. And this is how you can create vibrant colors without a heavy, opaque coverage. Just light applications of paint. This is the last coat, and you can see how much maybe smoother that the paint is when it's applied. It becomes, even though you still see that movement, the light, the dark, but the brush strokes aren't so streaky. They're just a lot softer and more blended and just kind of ethereal. Just very, very quiet transition from one color into another color and back and forth. Now, when the green mixes with the blues, it becomes a little more opaquish, if that's a word. So you need to back off on the amount of paint that you use on the brush. And most of these colors uh, with the glaze medium will become a beautiful translucent color. And see how that raw sienna just adds a hint of color in there without changing the whole, it just becomes a little bit richer. And by using that glaze medium, you can go back. You'll know when you shouldn't mess with it anymore. When it starts to tack up, that's when you need to back off. Just let it dry and add another layer. Now, I wanted to add just the hint of grass in the background using my radical round and the lush green, and I just thinned it with that glaze medium. That just makes it very soft. Picked up a little bit of thicket. I want to bring that darker color. It just makes it more subtle in the background. Stay on the tip of the brush. This brush has a beautiful tip on it. You can create a lot of brush strokes without reloading. It's just a great brush, so versatile. And just add those hints of grass in the background. Does that look beautiful? This is exactly what you want on your plaque. Just a lot of tones of color. You can see the transition. There's movement in there. It's not solid. It's not heavy. Because this is so beautiful, Ultra Matte Varnish is my best painting friend. Just going to grab some of that and top coat with my short wash 1.5 brush. Not going to leave any brush strokes. And what this does, it provides a protective barrier so that when you are painting the bunny and you make a mistake, you won't have to worry about digging into that gorgeous background. Just going to lock it in place and let it become permanent, and then you won't have to worry about it. I use this so often. When this ultra matte varnish dries, it has the same sheen as paint. So you can dry brush over it. It doesn't have any slip at all. It's just exactly the same texture as paint. Use it every time I paint. It's just absolutely fabulous. Take off that tape. I forgot to mention I put a piece of painter's tape up there just to protect the lid. If you don't do that, it's fine. You can go back and top coat the lid with raw sienna and it will be fine. Now here's another little trick. If you have painted on the 1/8 inch MDF surfaces and they become a little bit uneven and kind of rock, um, like have a curve to them, the reason they do that is because of all the paint that's on one side draws as it dries, and it tightens it up so that it draws the wood up as well. So simple fix. Just coat the backside with multi-purpose sealer or varnish, lightly sand it, and it's just flat as it can be. It's just, you have to even out the moisture on both sides. Okay, time to transfer the pattern. Just going to transfer for class just the very simple outline. And I am using canary tracing paper and a dark gray graphite paper. And that is everything that you need to get ready for class. Again, if you're not signed up for class and would like to join, please check the links below. Would love to have you. This is going to be a fun project. A lot of really different techniques that I think you're going to enjoy. And don't worry if you're not available on the day of the class. Everyone that signs up for class will get a complete video that you can watch at your leisure. While you're on YouTube, please take a moment to check out my other videos. I love to share my tips, tricks, and techniques to make your painting life a little easier and a lot more fun.